Hey everybody, Colin here, the Wild CEO. Today's short, quick video on a very important point. 3 signs you're weak-minded, what to do about it, starting with how to recognize it. By recognizing these primary things, these habits, these ways of thinking, you can then detach yourself a little bit from the habit itself, so you can then make conscious decisions to not do those things and even replace them with things that are more constructive. Okay, the first one is you default to reasons why. I call them excuses. Excuses, a lot of times, are legitimate reasons why, but they are still excuses. When you focus on reasons why, your brain is very good at coming up with lots and lots of these reasons why. And in a lot of cases, you might be right, but you still didn't do said thing or you failed with said thing. So really, what does focusing on the reasons why do for you? In fact, if you look at the way the universe works and the way it responds to energy, you actually have more reasons why that are now going to come in your future because you're focusing on them. You become what you focus on. And so when you default to excuses or reasons why somebody else's fault, reasons why things didn't work out, or there was this thing or whatever, when you focus on that, you are being weak-minded. Instead, the strong-minded is, I should have done this, and if you do go to reasons why, it should only be as it means to explain and prep for what you could have done or will do the next time around. You should only use reasons why as a learning while still making the theme of, I should have done this, I'm gonna do better next time, I admit my mistake. Yes, now let's do better, let's learn. Versus the way most weak-minded people they go to reasons why from the point of excuse, as if they couldn't change anything. As if the universe is the problem or someone else is the problem and not them. As if this is why it didn't happen and they are removed from the equation. That is a huge sign of being weak-minded. Number 2 is interesting because it's actually the sign of somebody that's weak-minded, but it can also be, depending on how it's used, a sign of somebody that's strong-minded. Most people that are weak-minded make statements that are definitive about themselves. I'm not good at math, for example, that's a closed mindset. Or this is gonna happen, or I'm gonna scream in pain. There's a million examples of this. But when you're the type to talk about how things are hard or impossible, that's one of my favorite words. Oh, that's impossible. It's not impossible. Most things are not impossible other than trying to make 1 + 1 = 3. That's impossible, at least in this current universe. But if we're actually in a simulation and I can reprogram the laws of the physics in that simulation, as someone like Elon Musk might suggest we are, then actually there is a way to make 1 + 1 = 3. So it's not actually impossible. Don't make matter-of-fact statements about your skills, about you, about your past, about anything like that. Always leave it open. The thing here, and there's a lot of books written about this, there's a lot of psychology, there's a lot of woo-woo when it comes to it, but there are also laws of how the human mind works. When you focus on things and when you tell yourself things, it becomes reality. And so if you tell yourself something negative, well, you're going to become and receive that negative thing. That's why you have to always take a step back, not make definitive statements, try to be as open as possible. And by merit of just doing that, you immediately give yourself an opportunity to do things better or differently. But when you tell yourself and you have fixed definitive statements about how things are or how your past was or whatever, you never have an opportunity to change how you might perceive your past or change who you are now or change the bad habits you might be talking about. Huge sign of being weak-minded is making definitive, especially negative statements about yourself. Last but not least, this is a big one. It also kind of coincides with the first one. And there's a great book written about this called Extreme Ownership. You not taking ownership of your life, of your actions, of your results, and then on the other end, moving to a place where you take extreme ownership of everything that happens to you. Even if somebody rear-ends you in the car, if you would have left a few minutes early, if you wouldn't have been maybe checking out your phone at the stoplight, which made you lag a little bit behind, which allowed for this car to come up behind you 2 miles down the road, when you look through the lens of extreme ownership, you can always find a way where you could have done something differently to change the outcome. And when you really start thinking this way, and you build it as a philosophy in your life, and not just extreme ownership, but just ownership of everything. When you make it your fault why you got results or your fault why you didn't get results, it's a game changer. It's a literal game changer. So take responsibility of your life. Don't blame people. Don't talk about reasons why outside of yourself, unless it's to remind yourself of what you should have done so you can learn and then take action and be better the next time around. All right, so these are 3 tips on how to move from a place of weak-mindedness to strong mind. These are skills you can learn. A lot of it comes down to breaking old bad thought patterns and habits and moving to new ones. So if you don't think any of these come naturally to you, well, join the club, because it doesn't come naturally to most of us. Our species has negative bias and has a lot of reasons, and a lot of things that it does. It is not natural to the average person to be strong-minded right out of the womb. Then we have all the negative conditioning from our childhood and past traumas and social media and comparison and all the nonsense that is living in a modern connected world. So don't be hard on yourself if you are yet to get these down pat. All right, get working on it. I hope this was useful. Make sure you like and subscribe and get it.